So let me begin by being the fairest as possible. Anna, the Star Wars girl, or as I like to call her, Star Wars whore. And as we're going to see, that's a very apt title and well deserved, is apparently suffering at the throat, so she doesn't sound right. I'm also going to be joining two clips in the actual audio and video. It was more separated, but I want to make a certain point where she's wrong about the original trilogy. And there will have to be at least minor spoilers for Kenobi and minor spoilers for films 1 to 9 in the Star Wars saga.
Vader has been running the galaxy alongside Darth Sidious, the Emperor, for the past decade. So for them to think that that's a big reveal, just one is insulting to the audience. Uh, I mean, did you not watch the end of Revenge of the Sith, which is what I had to, tweet out because people were losing their minds at my tweets, and that doesn't make any sense based on the way that these two gentlemen up here on the screen run things. Now, obviously, this is another tweet regarding what I was talking about earlier, but if you have seen the original trilogy of Star Wars, then you know what I'm talking about. But for the people that are writing Star Wars, that are working on Star Wars, they clearly haven't because they don't understand the way.
So, what is she babbling about? Well, apparently, her real issue here is Reva, one of the characters in Kenobi, and that Reva doesn't make sense because Vader is second in command, and Kenobi would know that. And we should know that because of Revenge of the Sith. Well, there's a lot going on here, and again, I want to try to be devil's advocate, but this seems to be contradicting what you said earlier, because on the EFAP, when she was talking about technically the Phantom Menace, but they did go into some of the other films, she thought that the prequels for A, not well written, so okay, that's a big problem, and B, she didn't think Revenge of the Sith was well written either, and actually thought some of the other films were better. And you're like, wait, what? If you're kind of calling into question the writing quality of the prequels, you want to be careful then invoking them. But no, she's like, oh yeah, Revenge of the Sith was crystal clear with its ending. I don't think it did have a crystal clear ending. I think there's a lot of question marks. But even if we put aside her consistency on the EFAP, apparently she's revised her opinion or just forgotten what she said. But I didn't forget. We'll put all that aside. Her editing is insanely deceptive because she's giving us, yeah, photos of Sidious and Vader, and Tarkin has magically disappeared. Apparently, she doesn't know or she forgot Tarkin is also in Revenge of the Sith. He's there. So, her basic point is listen, it's Sidious and Vader. What about Tarkin? Are you going to get into Tarkin? Are you going to explain about Tarkin? Nope. She just completely is unaware of this, or is that stupid? So, you know. But she also appeals to the original trilogy. That doesn't make sense either. In the first film, Vader is clearly not second in command, nor is he free to just kill officers. In fact, quite the opposite. Tarkin orders him not to kill someone. He orders him not to kill an officer. So Vader does not have the ability to do that. She probably means Empire Strikes Back or Return of the Jedi. But that's the whole point. The original trilogy is not consistent with itself. It has a lot of contradictions. The prequels are not consistent with themselves. They have a lot of contradictions. And I realize it's fine that this is the new way to make money. You just magically think that episodes 1 to 6 now are perfect. And Lucas's writing and directing is perfect. He made no mistakes, and only mistakes happen. Continuity errors exist with the Disney films and or TV shows, which is like, that's just not true. But now she brings in other issues, and I'll have to be at least a little humble, because here I'm less sure, but definitely with the original trilogy and prequels, she's either lying, which is pretty bad, or she's just being a complete idiot, which is also bad, because she's demanding money be paid to her to be a, quote, Star Wars expert.
And the Grand Inquisitor shows up and she kills him. So again, breaking chain of command, and I mean, he dies differently in their own canon, so they clearly don't watch their own shows or communicate with one another, which again doesn't make sense considering Dave Filoni has been praised by Disney that he's the one that's kind of running things along with Jon Favreau, and this is one of his characters from Rebels, and they don't even remember that they killed him off differently. So obviously these people do not talk to one another. If you don't believe me, just Google it. It's literally there with video links, which I will put down below in the description of this video because I can't play it for you or else Disney will copyright strike me. But you guys can see it for yourself. He literally dies in Rebels in a completely different way than how they killed him off in this show. How could you buy?
This seems like a legitimate question mark. I understand what she's trying to say. However, again, if she is saying that the original trilogy is consistent with itself and it's not, then she is allowing for radical retcons. Again, I don't think ordinarily this is good, but this has been how Star Wars has operated, that it doesn't make sense at the literal level. If you go through the story from A, B to Z, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. It just doesn't. It's a fairy tale. You just have to accept a lot of crazy contrivances. But a direct contradiction is pretty problematic. Is what's happened with the Inquisitor, him being killed, a direct contradiction? As far as I know, no. The way I thought it worked was that episodes 1 to 9, that seems to be the only solid rule. With 1 to 9, you don't have any direct contradiction with the television shows or with the other media. And as far as I know, they've obeyed that rule. And Lucas obeyed that rule. And his subordinates obeyed that rule. But it's kind of well known that Filoni has disobeyed Lucas from time to time. I think Lucas ordered Ahsoka to be killed. He completely disagreed. He disobeyed him. Ahsoka is alive and well. She's going to have her own show. So we've had this issue before. And thinking it through, it's kind of a meta thing too, with the Grand Inquisitor talking to Riva all the time. Like she's constantly disobeying him. And we're not going to have this discussion again. I honestly think that Filoni might be doing a Freudian thing within the series. Like, well, okay, but I think you failed. It's like, and if that's what's going on, then I suspect he is pulling a Lucas. He's revising his own canon. Because again, when Disney buys something, you may not like it, they control the canon. If they say that event didn't happen, or it's going to be radical or retconned, like maybe a clone died, or maybe a clone is going to replace the Grand Inquisitor, that is the new canon. You may not like that, but that is how it goes. When he sold Star Wars, and he did, that canon is now out of his control. So there is no contradiction. There can be no contradiction because if the person who owns the canon dictates how this is so, that is how it is so. That is beyond question now. That is how it works. Now, she can just say, in totality, Star Wars is garbage. That's fine. That's consistent. But you can't magically say, the Lucas stuff was brilliant. It's all perfect. Because she's lying, because she herself says it wasn't all brilliant. And or she's saying this is exceptionally insulting to the intelligence of any fan. No. What happened with Han and Greedo, that was insulting. Like Vader suddenly being Luke's father, that's insulting. That's completely contradicting things. The Grand Inquisitor, at least at this point, is a question mark. Maybe? Maybe it's a problem? We're gonna have to wait and see. But in terms of Filoni, yeah, I think it's well known that he never really cared about the canon in the first place. So suddenly you're screaming like, I can't believe it! Filoni's not following the canon! Yeah, honey, we've known that for quite some time. If this is what you're doing to make money, I suggest you need to really improve your reading as well as viewing skills, because your commentaries on Revenge of the Sith and the original trilogy are pretty fundamentally stupid and retarded. I usually don't like saying those things, but it's really true in her case.